There are two balloons, blue and white. Now tell me, where does the white air go and where does the blue air go?
It all merges with one.
And I'll give you $1 million. Bring me back the white air separately and the blue air separately.
Death, what exactly is death?
I'm gone. What happened? The moment you're gone, the next moment you're born. But you're not born with the same soul. This going is ignorance. There's no going. Death is going to happen. When the body dies, there are only two things. There's reincarnation or there's realization.
Why can't I read the thoughts of you right now? Or why can't you read the thoughts of me?
Why is your rascal mind asking the question? Do you know? Your rascal mind is asking the question because if you come to know your Brahman, then the mind is out of business. There is no mind. You are a body made of 35 trillion cells. We came from our mother's womb. Why did we come? We came because we had karma. Every 7 to 10 years we have a new body. The soul arrives for a purpose, needs to come back to settle its karmic account. Why are we suffering? Because we have forgotten we are God. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Today, we have a very unique guest on Under the Tree, AiR, once an iconic entrepreneur who revolutionized retail in India. AiR reached the height of success before choosing a radically different path. He is an author of over 75 self-help books, runs a humanitarian home that's serving over 800 individuals in need. If you've ever found yourself questioning about the very essence of who you are, this episode is a must listen. Because today, we're diving deep with a man who has asked and answered all of these questions. Thank you so much, AiR, for coming on our show Under the Tree.
For 25 years, I was wandering in a world that was full of junk till I awakened and became a monk. So for 25 years, trying to make money, trying to be successful, trying to find pleasure. We are all monkeys. Monkeys because we are, if you give a monkey a banana, it'll grab it and then it'll take the other one. But until we cut the tail of the monkey, which is our mind, if you cut the monkey's tail, what's left is a monk.
Yes.
And the EY of the monkey is ever yelling and ever yearning. And this is what we have to calm.
Exactly. So this question of who am I and finding who you truly are, your true nature, I can guarantee that it comes into the life of every single person at least once. These people around the world, the billions of population in this earth, the fact is that when we go through some suffering, some trauma, everyone wonders that, what is happening? Who am I? What exactly is my existence? But sometimes people ignore that question and kind of put it behind the pillow and they don't think about it, right? And then later on, it keeps on coming, that urge is coming. So this question of asking who I truly am, why is it important for like the normal person out there who might be a householder, who might be a student, who might be someone who's running a business or a family, and how is that so vital to our presence here?
Actually, people think this question, who am I, is a spiritual question. But in reality, what you're saying, let's look at a situation where we don't find out who am I. Fine, right? Just live and die. But then there's a problem. And what's the problem? If I don't find out who am I, then who am I? You say, I am Robert, I am an American, I am a lawyer, I am a millionaire. But the moment you are that name, that nationality, that religion, you become the body, mind, and ego. And if you are the body, mind, and ego, you will suffer pain of the body, misery of the mind, and agony of the ego. So the question, if you don't find out who am I, then not only will you have pain in your body, but you will suffer. And a mind which nobody has seen, we all talk of a mind. Oh, my mind is wandering, my mind is anxious. Because the mind is nothing but misery, ignorance, negativity, and desire. M-I-N-D. And if you don't find out who am I, then the mind will create fear, worry, stress, anxiety, regret, shame, and guilt. The mind has got 7 primary miseries. Imagine people living with fear. FEAR, false expectation appearing real. Worry, wasting life, overthinking, repeating the fear, rehearsing the problem, and yearning. So each of these is a result of not realizing who am I. The moment we realize I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the ego. Now, why should I realize I'm not the ego? Everybody has ego in this world. You go to an airport and there's a guy standing there and the lady tells him, "So sorry, sir, the check-in is closed." Hey, you know who am I? You know?
Reaction, right.
The ego creates anger, hate, revenge, jealousy, pride, greed, and selfishness. The 7 monsters of the ego. Therefore, the answer to your question, we must find out who am I to be free from this triple suffering on earth and then the cycle of rebirth. If we don't find out who am I, we will just live and die. We will look up at the sky. We will cry. We will question why. Because we don't know who am I.
That's true. Because it's that story of that if you're hit by an arrow, it's very painful. But that second arrow is the suffering, which is your choice. So definitely maybe that pain, depending on your karma, is inevitable. But that suffering, that reaction is your choice. And that can only happen when you know who you truly are.
Beautiful. Very, very well said. So when an enlightened person suffers, when Ramakrishna Paramahansa, when he used to get spasms of cancer,
Yes.
he used to laugh.
Yes.
And a rascal cut me, he would say, right?
Yes, yes.
But that is the only an enlightened, awakened person can overcome suffering. Pain doesn't matter. Pain is like a train. It comes and goes.
Because you were talking about Paramahansa Ramakrishna. So one of his disciples asked him that you're calling this play divine, that this is a divine play happening, but it's deadly for us. We're dying, we're suffering. And then Ramakrishna says in response to that, but tumi kon, which means, who are you? So if you know your true self, then you wouldn't even be asking that question.
Exactly. Because we think we're the costume.
Yes, the body.
This is only a costume, right? But when we realize I'm just wearing this costume, then you don't suffer because of that.
But then how do we remain that healthy ego? Because to operate in this empirical relative world, right, you need that ego, especially if you haven't renounced or you're not fully immersed into this life. You have to do your job, you have to earn money, you have to study and earn. So how do you maintain that healthy ego and differentiate between that?
So people think that we have to kill the ego. You can't kill the ego. Many people say, annihilate the ego, kill the ego. What is the ego? For example, even an enlightened person, if an enlightened person wants a glass of water, what will he say? I want a glass of water. The ego cannot go anywhere. But what happens is, there is a false ego and there's an enlightened ego. The false ego says, I. And the enlightened ego says, I am not I. There's a big difference. We have to move from the false ego to the enlightened ego. And when we transcend this path, when we get to this path, then we are awakened to who we are. So this is the journey. The journey, as long as the ego is there, we will suffer.
There's a story about Ramana Maharshi where apparently there's someone who's writing an article about him, a very negative article. And, Ramana Maharshi starts editing that. And he makes edits on an article that's criticizing him and saying something negative about him. So one of his disciples asks that, what are you doing? You're essentially promoting what's being written badly about you. Who does that? And then Ramana Maharshi responds that, no, what do you mean? This article isn't about me. It's about some fellow named Ramana. So he's so not identified with his name that he doesn't even realize that. And I think that's what we should actually operate, how we should operate in this world.
We should, but unfortunately, we don't operate like this because we are so conditioned. When you look at the mirror, you only think that's me. But when you're awakened, then you look at the mirror and say, that's not me. That's the body in which I am alive. I am the soul. So yes, when you awaken, this needs awakening. We have to awaken to it. Because everybody, the 99% of the people in this world, the subject is alien. If you tell them, for me, I was in business for 25 years. If you spoke this to me, I said, what are you talking?
Exactly.
It's nonsense. So very few people, 1% of the people in this world, they are visually blind. But 99% of the people in this world are spiritually blind. So they think, I am the ego, I am the body, this is my name, I have done this, I am so good, I am better than the others.
I think that kind of a way to summarize this, I feel like what helps me especially is that basically you do your work or whatever it is, even if it means that it's getting some type of material recognition, but you just don't try not to attach yourself with those results or identify with the fact that you have some talent or you have some capability. You just try to remind yourself there's a story of basically there's these two masters and they've done tapasya and they have these siddhis, right? And basically one of them tells the other one that they're basically talking and they try to say that, oh, I have more siddhis than you, the first person. And he says that, you show me your siddhis, right? I can prove that I have more siddhis than you. And then that second master says that, I don't have to show you anything, right? You're right, you win. He's so egoless, right? He's not even trying to prove that he has siddhis. So then that first one, he basically he points and a sword through the body of that second one, and it goes directly through, basically proving that yes, he has siddhis, right? He's not even the body. But that second one was so egoless that he didn't even want to prove that he is enlightened or he has siddhis. So being able to come to that state where we're not, what is exactly showing off, that you want to prove to the outside world or to someone else that you're better than them. That's what kills us, and that's what causes our jealousy, comparison, and anxiety. That's what my perception is.
You're absolutely right. Enlightenment and realization is what? It is realizing that you are not Amira. Your name is Amira. Who are you in reality? Amira name was given to you. Your body was formed over 9 months in the womb. One day, Amira will die, but you will never die. You are the immortal divine soul. This is called self-realization. This is partial enlightenment. When you realize, I am the divine soul, then your next step is to realize everybody here is a divine soul. When you realize everybody is a divine soul, then there is a question of me having more power than you. We are all part of that one supreme immortal power. The moment you start proving your siddhis, your power, sorry to say, that means you're not completely awakened.
Yes.
You should never, a truly enlightened person will have utmost humility. That's the first mark. If we think, I know it all, I am the best, sorry to say, then we are not awakened.
You talked about that we're in the womb for 9 months, right? In Buddhism, I read recently that there's a practice where they basically tell the Buddhist monks to think about this specific question. For example, something like, oh, where did you exist even after you were in the womb or you were conceived, right? Where were you there? And then that kind of leads to nothingness, right? But that's what I want to ask you, that where were we even before the 9 months, right?
Beautiful. It's a very deep question, okay? So, let's clearly understand that this whole universe is nothing but divine energy. So, there is something called SIP, a supreme immortal power. Vedanta, you call Brahman, or you call Ishvara, or you call God, or you call the Creator. This energy, even science tells you, manifests as the matter. So, every molecule of this whole universe is the divine. In this divine, there is this drama. That everything that's happening, you, me, we are all part of this divine energy. So when we realize this, then we have achieved that. The realization that I am nothing, the realization that this whole universe, everything, this is the ultimate truth. So where were we? That was your question.
Yes.
So I was telling you this whole world is nothing but that energy.
Right.
The mountain and the sea.
Everything is divine.
Everything, every molecule is energy.
Right.
You are a body made of 35 trillion cells. And the soul is also energy, and every atom of you is energy. Now, this whole energy, the science says it's dark matter and dark energy. But where did you come from? Where did I come from? Where were we? This leads us to rewind. So if you and me rewind, we came from our mother's womb. Hope we did come from under the tree. No, we came from our mother's womb.
Yes.
Why did we come? We came because we had karma. Why did we have karma? Because we were alive. When we were alive, we died. And when we died, there was unsettled karma. And because, are you getting my point? So we go backwards.
Yes.
So we were a body. We were a body that had karma. The body died, was cremated, became, and then we came back.
The carryover, basically.
So therefore, where were we? We can go on, we can go backwards and backwards and backwards. How much you'll go back? How many generations?
Infinity.
Yeah. Some people say that there are 84 lakh yonis. 84 lakh janmas you will get. You will come as a dog, you will come as a frog, you will come as a flamingo, you will come as a fish, you will come as... Now, Amira, it's not our business. What is our business? The answer to your question? To realize that I am a spark of unique life. I am the soul. You are the soul. What are both of us? We are both nothing but energy. If I take these balloons and I ask you the question, I carry this in my pocket. If I take this balloon and ask you, there are two balloons, blue and white. Now tell me, where does the white air go and where does the blue air go?
It all merges with one another.
And I'll give you $1 million. Bring me back the white air separately and the blue air separately.
It's impossible.
So this is what we are trying to find out. You saw this as a live example.
Right.
Where would you go? After you finish living, where would you go? The true self. The true self, that is Amira, not this body. Amira will merge, your individual consciousness will merge with the supreme consciousness. My individual consciousness will also merge with that supreme consciousness. Now you answer the question to me. Where did we come from?
We came from that one.
We came from that supreme consciousness. And where would we go?
To that one.
Sorry, I had to use this example.
It's a very, very good example, definitely. And, now I want to actually go more deeper into the conversation. So when I was starting my journey of studying Vedanta, and I was very, very lucky to have, fortunate to have found my guru. So Neem Karoli Baba is my guru, and he's actually also what we recently found out known as a Vedanta master modern day. And then I studied Vedanta under Swami Sarvapriyanandaji. So the introductory texts that I had to read were Aparoksha Anubhuti and Digdish Vivek, which I know you've also studied intensively. In those books, which is very, very good for people who are beginning their journey, basically, in a very short form, it tells us that we are not our fear, we are not our anxiety, we are not our success, our fame, our failure. Everything that we see, that we identify ourselves with, we are not. That's something else, right? So I thought that was the truth for a long time, and then I realized that that's not the truth, because then that's also duality. Swami Sarvapriyanandaji, says it very beautifully that whenever there is another or whenever there's a second, fear will always remain, because again there's that differentiation. How do we go from duality to non-duality? So what my understanding is that basically it's not even that, it doesn't stop at the fact that fear is something else than you. If we are pure consciousness, fear, anxiety is basically an arising within our consciousness. Basically, everyone here watching dreams, right? We sleep every night, or we have a dream. We might remember it, we might not. When we wake up, we realize that dream didn't exist. In that dream, sometimes I've had dreams with hundreds and thousands of people in there, right? So many things that you can't even imagine. And you wake up, you realize that how was that created? That consciousness basically created those thousands of people, those events, those places within my consciousness, right? That mind is also within that consciousness. So essentially, this world is also like a dream in the fact that if we're just talking in the point of a mind-body complex, we think this is real, but essentially it's an appearance. So going back to that question of how do we go from duality to non-duality?
What is duality? Duality is thinking, I am different from you. Simple duality. Duality means two. Duality means I think I am praying to Lord Shiva.
Yes.
That is God. God is in the sky and I am here. But God is not in the sky. That's a lie. And that God realization comes from self-realization. Only way to realize God is through self-realization. And to get to the state of God realization and self-realization, we need this non-duality. So my first question to myself, why is it called non-duality? Because first there must be duality. Unless there is duality, we will not reach a state of non-duality.
Right, that makes sense.
Because, so for example, we think we are two. So there are two, you and me. But who am I? Am I this body? No, this body will die. Am I the mind? There is the mind. If I ask you, is the mind like this ball is blue and yellow? If I ask you the color of the mind, can you tell me what's the color of the mind?
No.
Okay, this ball is round. Is the mind square? Not the brain. Is the mind round or square? Have you seen? Have you ever seen the mind? No, you have not seen the mind. Even I have not seen the mind. Nobody in this world has seen the mind.
Thoughts are in this an imagination.
Because there is no mind. There is no mind. The mind is only a bundle of thoughts. When you have many thoughts attacking you, when thoughts drilling you and thoughts killing you, what does that become? It becomes the mind. It appears as the mind. The moment you're in meditation, what happens? The mind, when the MTR, the mental thought rate, when it comes down and comes down and comes down and you become still, when you still the mind, you kill the mind. There's no mind. You reach a state of consciousness. When you reach a state of consciousness, there's no mind. In that state, you realize, I have a body, so I am not the body. You realize this body will die. This body came over a period of 9 months. I was alive. I am that power that's in this consciousness. When I realize there's no mind, and therefore that ego that says I is wrong, because I am that spark of unique life, SOUL. This awakening that I am a soul. If I realize I am a soul, if I realize means just knowing, or realizing means complete awareness. It's not knowing, it's complete awareness. If I have an awareness, I am a soul, then what am I aware about you? What are you then?
That's
Are you the body or are you also the soul?
the soul.
The soul. If you are a soul, your energy, I am energy, like the two balloons. If our two souls leave the body, then we are two or we are one.
One
The air of the white balloon and the air of the blue balloon
becomes one.
It's one. Realization, enlightenment is this. I was praying to Shiva for 25 years. Shiva, I want you. Shiva, I want you. I kept saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, which means Om, the divine, I bow down to you in the form of Shiva. Om Ganapate Namaha, I bow down to you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Then I got the realization, Shivoham, Shivoham, which means that the divine that I thought was separate from me is not there. That divine is inside me. That is me. I am not this. I am that. Neti Neti Tattvamasi. Neti Neti means I am not this body. I am not this mind. Tattvamasi. Thou art that. You are that. He is that. She is that. We are all
That. Yeah, it's like thinking of the sun and the moon example, where basically the moon doesn't have its own light, right? It's a sun which is shining, and that's the reflected. So in a kind of an example where you
reflected consciousness.
reflected consciousness, yeah. So that's a very good example to get this understanding very clear.
See, this unfortunately cannot be understood. Are you saying that everybody who takes Advaita classes will get enlightened?
There's a difference between knowing and being. Being
No.
is what takes time.
When you are being, then you are realized.
Sthit pragya, equanimity, and you are that. It's not changing that one day you're this, one day you're that. basically.
Knowledge, you can get in a college. Knowledge you can get in a college, but for realization, there must be crystallization.
Yes. So what is the connection between matter and consciousness? And the reason I'm asking this is that, so it's, I can understand, right, that like fear, anxiety, depression, or you can say, okay, maybe those are not real. Those are just an appearance within your consciousness. You have the power to overcome that. But things like when we see, like we feel this, right? It's hard. It hurts your fingers and everything. There's millions of examples, right? You feel that on a gross level, it's there. It's matter. So what is that connection between consciousness and matter?
You have any doubt this matter is there?
I definitely feel
Of course it's there.
Yes.
But what is it? The question is, what is it? If scientists took a molecule of matter and they broke it down to electron, neutron, proton, to the smallest particle called a quark, they found that the smallest particle called a quark suddenly disappeared. It became a wave of energy. And so in 2022, we hear that 3 physicists were given the Nobel Prize for their work in quantum physics and quantum mechanics on the theory called the wave-particle duality, which only means that a scientist once told me, I appear to see you. I said, what do you mean? So he said, it appears as you, but actually you are 35 trillion cells that are clustered together.
That's what you see.
That's what you see. And in reality, we know it. For example, you go for a pedicure. What is the girl doing when she's doing your feet? What does she say? What is she doing?
Cells.
She says, I'm scrubbing your dead cells. But not only your feet has dead cells. Your heart, your brain, your kidney, your entire body is changing every 7 to 10 years. Every 7 to 10 years, we have a new body. When we start to realize this, then we come to that awakening that we are the consciousness in every cell. Your body is getting changed every 7 to 10 years, but your consciousness is not getting changed.
Permanent, right?
Suppose today, I cut my hand and I keep my hand here. So what happens? My hand has another consciousness in it.
No, it's the same.
Why is this hand working here? But if I cut the hand there, it has no consciousness. So this realization that this whole body has one consciousness. And as long as my hand is connected to me, this hand is conscious. But if the hand is disconnected from the consciousness of me, this Jivatma, the body, mind, ego, soul, this makes us realize, who am I? I am not this body. Mind doesn't exist. As I said, Neti Neti, not the body, not the mind. Tattvamasi.
We need the body to function. We are that pure consciousness, but we just need it to function here while we're in this empirical.
If there was no body, how could the soul function? Imagine now we take a soul and we throw the soul up in the air. Where is the soul? The soul arrives for a purpose. The soul arrives because an ignorant mind and ego, finishing one journey, needs to come back to settle its karmic account. So the soul gives it a new life in a new body.
You know, when I studied the Mundukya Upanishad with Swami Sarvapriyananda, the core message, if I have to summarize it in one sentence, which is impossible, but just for the sake of it, is that if you realize that you are Brahman, or as you call Sip, then you've realized and known everything in this world, right? But the thing is, playing the devil's advocate, people say that that's not true, because if I know everything, then why can't I read the thoughts of you right now, or why can't you read the thoughts of me? So what's your answer to that?
What are these thoughts that you're talking about? Can a dead person have thoughts?
No.
Thoughts come from where?
They're basically bubbles, impressions, and then they bubble up and arise, and you have thoughts.
So thoughts arise in our consciousness. Right. For example, we breathe. Correct? Does a dead person breathe? No, because the soul is missing. When there's S-O-U-L, soul, a spark of unique life, in that soul there's consciousness. In that consciousness there's breath. In that breath, in that consciousness there are thoughts. So if the Upanishads are teaching us, I am Brahman, I always tell people, beware. The Upanishad and the Vedas tell Aham Brahmasmi. What's the meaning?
I am that. I am Brahman.
I am
I am
God.
Yeah.
Wrong. The way we say it is wrong. I would say it, I am not. I am nothing. Only Brahman is. Now it makes sense.
Yes, like Swami Vivekananda, where Sister Nivedita asked him that or a disciple asked him that you said that everything is God, right? And he says, I never taught that doctrine that I am God, and he said that God only is. That's the foundation.
Absolutely. So see this, when you're asking why I can't read your mind, you ask me a question. You know why you're asking that question? You're asking that question because your mind wants to fool you and ask that question. It is your mind, which is M-I-N-D, as I said, misery, ignorance, negativity and desire. Why is your mind asking that question? Your mind is asking that question because your mind doesn't want you to realize the Mandukya Upanishad. Right. Why does the mind not want you to understand the Mandukya Upanishad? Because the mind doesn't want you to realize I am Atma. Only when you realize I am Atma can you realize I am Paramatma. You cannot realize I am Brahman. The only way to realize I am Brahman is to realize I am Atman. And the only way to realize I am Atman is to realize Neti Neti Tattvamasi. When you realize I am not the body, I am not the mind, then who are you? If you are not the body and you are not the mind, you are, right? You are something, you are somebody. Yes. What are you? You are a bundle of energy. Now, why is your rascal mind asking the question, oh, if I was Brahman, then I should know your thoughts. Why is your rascal mind asking the question? Do you know? Your rascal mind is asking the question because if you come to know your Brahman, then the mind is out of business.
So the question itself is wrong. Basically, you wouldn't even, if you've reached that state, you wouldn't be asking this.
The mind is forcing you to ask that question because the mind wants you to be in ignorance. The mind is trying to pull you down. The mind is pushing you like this. The mind is telling you, I, me, mind, you, body, what are you talking? How can you? The mind says, are you fool? Mind tells, are you fool? You are God? Some of the Dvaita teachers, so shocking. You go to them and they say, oh, what nonsense you're talking. You are God? Who the hell do you think you are? Their mind doesn't let them accept that there's Advaita. It's very dangerous.
What you're referring to, that phrase Aham Brahmasmi. So there's a story of basically there's two friends, right? One goes to a mental asylum, right? He keeps calling himself this thing that Aham Brahmasmi, right? And he's gone mad, and he calls up his other friend and asks him that even you used to say Aham Brahmasmi, then why am I in the mental asylum, right? And then that friend tells him that, well, you only used to say that I am God. I know that there is God and divine in everyone. So there's a fine difference between then having that ego that, oh, I am God. So that differentiation is very important to not misunderstand that can.
The realization when you say Aham Brahmasmi is everybody is Brahman. Not if anybody thinks only I am God. Right. So this is wrong. We have to realize we are nothing. Therefore, for me, the magical words, my favorite words are Neti Neti. These are the magical words. They open the door.
When you, as you say, Neti Neti, when you basically go from kosha to kosha, and you're able to see why you are not that. That's a very, very good.
Yeah, you can
feel as.
So people find it very difficult when you tell them Annamaya kosha, Mannamaya kosha. Yeah. Oh, people get very clear. So I tell them, let's do a very practical example. Let's call scientists. Let's put somebody on the table, give them anesthesia, and let's peel off layer by layer. This they understand. Let's peel the skin. Let's remove the eyes. Let's put blood in beakers. Let's hang the skeleton. Now come on, put it back. How can we put it back? I said, why? The room is airtight. Nothing has left the room. No soul has left the room. Nothing has left the room. Abhi wapas dalo sab kuch. Put everything back in order. You can't put it back in order. So this is the power of consciousness. Consciousness is divine. Consciousness comes from the soul. And this is not of the material world. This is beyond logic. It's divine magic.
We have in the scriptures from the East such beautiful texts that actually really dive deep into the topic of death. What exactly is death? Like you have the Katha Upanishad, which is a great conversation between Nachiketa and Yamraj, and that goes very deep. But I want to ask you that. So we are pure consciousness. That much is clear, I'm sure, to the people watching. So can consciousness see its body dead? Like, for example, like we die, right? The body is dead, right? And it's not like within a fraction of a second. Sometimes, like they say, right, that, I don't want to go too deep into, if you want to, into the concept of lokas and afterlife and everything. But like, if we don't take another costume right away, right, within a fraction of a second, then what happens within that time period? Like, I understand in a way time and, space also don't exist. But like, when you can consciousness see its body dead, and what exactly happens in that time being?
Sometimes we are like kids in a toy shop, and then we are trying to understand how the robot is functioning. The moment consciousness leaves a body, I give you the example of air in two balloons. There is no question of that consciousness still being separate. The consciousness actually that is in you, in me, in the butterfly, in the bee, in the tree, is it different consciousness?
No, it's the same.
It's the same consciousness.
The energy, that source is the same, right?
Suppose I take a glass and I put tea in it and I move the glass. Is the glass moving or is the tea moving?
The glass is moving.
And the tea?
Both are moving.
Beautiful. So I take another glass, I throw the tea out now. It's an empty glass. Now I'm moving the glass inside the air. So is the glass moving or is the air moving? Or both are moving?
The glass is moving.
In which air?
In that one
in the air that is everywhere.
Right.
Getting the point?
Yes.
So we have to imagine that. Now in the Kathopanishad, of course, I don't know where you want to go deeper into the Kathopanishad. In the Kathopanishad, when Nachiketa goes and he asks Yama tells him, I'll give you everything, I'll give you all the money. He tries hard, right, to tell Nachiketa, don't. And so the essence of the Kathopanishad is very simple. Death is going to happen. Every body will die. When the body dies, there are only two things. There's reincarnation or there's realization. If you realize, I am not this body that died. I am not this body that died. Mind is not there. Who am I? I am the soul, the Atma, the consciousness. That doesn't need even a fraction of a second. That's gone. It's already become one with the universal consciousness. Here people are confused. Many people think that the body that dies, the soul in that body, there's a transmigration of that soul. It's a big misunderstanding. There is no transmigration of the soul. Although even in the Bhagavad Gita, there is some mention, but it's meant that, I think probably in the wrong translation or the wrong interpretation. In Upanishads, I think it's very clear.
Yes.
The same soul doesn't come back. The soul is only a source of power. The source gives you life. On, gone. On, gone. The moment you are gone, in the next moment you are born. The moment you are gone, the next moment you are born. But you are not born with the same soul. Then the mind will confuse you. How did that mind and ego go from this body to that body?
Because we do take our impressions and tendencies with us, that the samskaras that go with us when we take off another costume.
Here's the timeout. This going is avidya. This going is ignorance. There is no going.
Could you elaborate on that?
Let's go one step back. Have you seen the mind? There is no mind. This fellow, which fellow? The ego fellow says, this is a lie. You appear to be Amira. You know, what do you mean appear? Of course I am. In the material world you are Amira.
Because of body name.
Body, name, consciousness, everything. Oh, good. I mean, I can see Amira. But the moment Amira's journey is over, can Amira come back again? You're dead and gone. The same Amira can come back again? This is avidya, na? We are still talking of our ancestors and where they have gone and we are praying for them when we only burned their body. We burn their body, they have become ash. So is there any chance of them still existing somewhere?
No.
But
They
we still,
merge with everything.
but we are doing puja for them. So this is exactly enlightenment. The moment we are dead and gone, the mind, so you understand what is death? What happens in the moment of death?
You die, and
What happens to the body? Why does the body die? Because?
the body dies.
Why it dies? Because?
You start functioning. Stops in the body.
What happens when the body dies? The soul is still in the body? Or the soul leaves the body?
I mean, when you're when you're talking about when you're dead, what happens, right?
Yeah. Well, suppose I'm alive now.
Yeah. The soul, yeah.
When I'm gone, what happened? Something happened?
Yes.
My soul left the body. If my soul was still in the body, and I'm breathing, I have consciousness, I'm alive.
Yeah.
So moment the soul leaves the body, my individual consciousness, the soul consciousness, became one with
that one consciousness.
And the body, what will you do to my body?
Burn it.
You will burn it, finish, matter closed.
Okay.
Now, because of the ignorance that I was this guy, Ravi, if I was Ravi, then my mind and ego, which is a product of avidya, product of ignorance, this is gone, and the next moment, along with karma, it's born. It appears in the womb of a new mother to settle the karma.
What appears? You're talking about the soul appears.
The mind and ego
The mind
appears
and ego appear.
with a new spark of life.
That one consciousness is that
From that
power of energy
Yeah,
comes into that other form.
not the same consciousness that left. Because this
It's
consciousness...
mixed with that one supreme consciousness.
And now a new consciousness entered the soul.
So what you're talking about right now, I just want to stop here and just ask that a lot of people, just playing again the devil's advocate, especially the youth and especially the West, because I have friends who say this, that we only live once, right? The YOLO philosophy that, like you're saying, right? If there's no birth, no death, no reincarnation, right? This entire system of this cycle exactly isn't true the way we think it is, then we can do whatever we want in this life. We can do sins, we can do bad things, we can do drugs, we can whatever, waste our life. And it won't matter because in 30, 40 years, it'll finish, right? So then I want you to answer that for those people.
If you do all that and you're not enlightened, then you're carrying the whole baggage. If you are not awakened to the truth that you're the soul, why are you doing all that? First of all, why are you doing drinks? Why are you doing cheating? Why are you doing all that? Because you don't realize you're the divine soul. You think you're this body, mind, ego. Therefore, you're indulging in these sense pleasures because you want this body to be happy.
Temper the happiness.
Yeah, it's only momentary, right? So this pleasure that comes and goes, you are a slave of that. Then what happens? You die. You ignore there's no karma. Suppose you say, okay, have fun, guys. Your life is only once. You live only once. You may say that. But we see people being born blind. So don't try to escape. You can't escape karma. So the people who don't accept karma, first step is to understand karma. That you have to pay your karma. Now second step. Second step, when if you are awakened, you wake up. Suppose you suddenly got an awakening, you met a guru, you met a master, you realize, oh, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. In that moment, all your past sins, all your deeds are wiped out because you are not that one. It is like a criminal who had 3 sentences, 10 years for cheating, 20 years for drug, 30 years for murder. He had 60 years of sentence in jail. And then suddenly they came to realize, this is not the Robert who did these 3 sins. That is Robert Smith. This guy is not that Robert. Then this guy will still be in jail or he'll be released.
No, because the name is the...
He's not the same guy.
Right.
If you come to realize, I'm not that guy, that girl who did the sins. I'm not that body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the ego. Then what happens? Then the karma don't belong to you because you are free from those karma. And then in the moment of death, there are 2 things. If you realize you're the soul, death of the body, the soul, individual consciousness becomes one with the divine
Supreme
consciousness. You become one with Brahman.
Yes.
But if you don't realize,
Then you come back with that carryover.
then your mind and ego carrying karma, you're gone, you're born, and it goes on and on and on.
So the goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that in a simple way to explain it, is that these entire things of morality, these are a foundation you should have. The goal should be enlightenment and not coming back into this cycle.
Absolutely.
Not being reborn.
See, whether the West calls it salvation.
Liberation, moksha.
Yeah. No, the West calls it salvation in the Western world. Here we call it liberation, nirvana, moksha, mukti, So names are different. It is very simple. And unless you don't get to the root of who am I,
This won't
you can't understand. The problem is people don't. Let me leave you with a simple question. Let people answer this simple question: what is death? And what happens after death? Why are people so scared of death? People are paranoid. They don't want to talk of it. You just have to talk to somebody.
They're scared of it.
They're scared. Why are people scared? We are scared because of what is beyond death, the unknown, and the loss of all that is known, that we own. अरे ये घर चली जाएगा, मेरी मर्सिडीज चली जाएगी, मेरा बैंक अकाउंट, मेरा गोल्डन ट्री, मेरा सब चले जाएगा.
But we didn't come with anything.
Exactly.
So why are you scared to lose it?
Nothing is mine.
Exactly.
Where is this mind concept coming from? From ignorance. Coming from that ego, I. Because we did not find out who am I.
And we discussed about this entire concept of like what the goal of enlightenment, so we don't have to come back. But for a lot of the people who are, again, like we say, householders or working students, especially the youth, right? They're in this material world. How can this ultimate, like the highest truth that we're talking about right now in this conversation, actually help them in day-to-day crises? So in every podcast, we do this little conversation where I put up like some practical segments. So, there are youths who are going through breakups or relationship issues. They can't even handle that trauma and they go into depression and drugs and try committing suicide. People who are trying to get into the top colleges here in IIT or Harvard University, take the IAS, UPSC exams, failing, and they commit suicide. There's so many stories in the news now because they can't handle that trauma. So how can this knowledge of who am I, knowing, my true identity, actually solve those things?
Let's start with the basic. We are born. Did we choose our birth? Did you choose your mom? Did you decide, I want this mom? Did you decide? No, you didn't decide. We never decided our birth, our gender, our nationality, our religion. We didn't decide. One day, we landed up. We are born. We all learn. You went to college.
Yes.
I went to school. We all learn. Then we earn. Agreed? Nobody denies.
Yeah.
First 20, 25 years we learn. Then next 20, 25 years we earn. Then what happens? We learn, we earn, then we burn. And we return. We don't understand this. We are in such a rush. We zoom from our womb to our tomb. We are running a race. We are trying to become an ace. And in this chase, we are caught in a maze. We don't know to live with grace.
Yes, exactly.
Therefore, all the people who want a practical understanding of this podcast, what they need to understand, learn, earn, then turn and yearn. Don't burn and return. You learn and earn and turn and yearn so that you don't have to burn and return. Now, we all are facing the same world and the same life. We are all human beings. We all have hair. We have hands, feet, brain. We all want to eat. We all enjoy pizza and burger. All that is fine. But one day, ultimately, you ask the richest people in the world, when they are 70, 80, 90, what was the thing you did not achieve? What you regret most in life? Will they tell you, I regret I didn't make more money? They will never tell you, I regret I didn't make more money. No. They'll say, I didn't have time to go to Antarctica, or I didn't have time to learn to play the guitar.
Small things.
Yeah, or I didn't have enough time to watch sunsets. There is something missing in our life.
Yes.
We're all trying to get into IIT and get into good jobs and do good startups and make money.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but...
Nothing wrong. But what are we seeking? We are seeking happiness. So our audience must understand one thing, that we are all seeking happiness. But unfortunately, we have misunderstood happiness to be pleasure. What's the spelling of happiness? Happy? How do you spell?
Happy.
Happy. To me, it's a wrong spelling. For me, I spell happy Happy. My happy has 3 P's. The first P is pleasure. We all want it. I also enjoy. I love to have dosa. I love a pizza. Oh, we all like pleasure. But the next level is peace. Peace is the foundation of happiness. If you and me are having champagne, we are dancing, we are having champagne, and somebody in our family dies. Chodo, let's leave them, let's continue champagne. Will we continue? We can't. We lost peace of mind.
Yes.
First is pleasure, second is peace. But we lose peace also unless we find purpose. From pleasure to peace to purpose. When we discover the purpose, who am I, why am I here? Then we are free from depression, we are free from worry, we are free from stress, we are free from everything. So our audience must understand that this whole world, life is not about pleasure. Life is about attaining the eternal happiness. Life is about reaching that state of everlasting bliss. Life is about reaching peace. And this conversation we are having is a way to get to peace and a way to get to purpose.
And what, according to you, if you have to, this can be a very, very long discussion, but we can make this a little bit shorter because, even Swami Vivekananda, when the disciple asked him that what is Maya, even he didn't want to answer it first. But like the story that a lot of people I'm sure know about is a story between, Lord Vishnu and Narad Muni and that entire thing. So, but if you have to explain Maya in like in a more of a practical way, like in an everyday situation that people probably go through, what is Maya? Like an example.
It's very simple. What am I wearing?
A t-shirt, white
t-shirt. Anybody would say, no, but this is Maya. You're seeing a t-shirt. I'm not wearing t-shirt. Please see closely. This is all threads. Am I lying?
No, you're right.
No, but you're saying t-shirt.
Because we see it like that.
The Maya makes you see a t-shirt. Now tell me, what am I wearing?
You're wearing the threads that's stitched.
No, that's Maya. I'm not wearing threads. I'm wearing cotton.
And then where the cotton comes from.
So Maya is very simply understood as a power. In very simple words, it conceals the truth and projects the myth. I don't know if you heard this story. A villager goes and a friend asks him, takes him for a movie. He comes to the city. Come on, tell me what you see. He says, I see horses. He said, no, tell me more further what you see. He says, oh, behind the horses, I see elephants. And no. So it was a war movie. Tell me what you see. He said, I see the dust coming up from the horses and elephants. Yes. Tell me further what you see. And as he was saying that, intermission. And now he asked the villager, tell me what you see. He says, I see blank screen. Nothing. Maya hides the blank screen. Projects the movie called life. Maya is projecting this whole world. You see this tree? It's Maya. Maya has got a power of concealing the truth and projecting the myth.
Yeah. The two powers that it has. If someone asks you like right now that why am I suffering, right? So again, would you tell them that it is because of if you are not enlightened, you don't know who you are, and that's why you're suffering in this lifetime?
No.
What would you tell them?
Why? I would tell them, why are there pineapples growing on this tree? There are pineapples growing on this tree because we planted pineapple seeds. Even if a dog is limping with one leg, there are only 2 or 3 options. One option, God is very cruel. Oh, a cruel fellow up there. I said, look at him, poor fellow dog. What kind of God you are for this dog to suffer? The answer in one word, suffering is because of karma. If there is karma, good for good, bad for bad. As you sow, so shall you reap. So if you are suffering, there's a beautiful book, New York Times bestseller. Why do bad things happen to good people? You've read that book? Yes. Dr. Harold Kushner. He says, he's a Jewish priest, and he says, my 13-year-old son has got progenia, and my 13-year-old son looks like a 60-year-old old, haggard man, and he looks up to God and says, hey, God, what kind of God are you, man? That you're making my son suffer at 13. What wrong have I done? And then in the book he writes, only two possibilities. Either you're a cruel God or you're an incapable God. And in the book he concludes, I don't believe you're cruel. I believe you're incapable. But in Vedanta we don't think
We
that.
don't say that,
We don't say God is cruel and God is incapable. So I've written a book called Why Bad Things Can't Happen to Good People. My book doesn't say why bad things happen to good people. I say why bad things can't happen to good people. Suffering can't happen without a cause. There cannot be smoke without a fire. The law is a law of cause and effect. If there is an effect, there must be a cause.
Yeah.
If you don't want the effect, eliminate the cause. If you don't want suffering, eliminate the cause of suffering, which is called karma. And you can't eliminate karma as long as you're alive in a body-mind complex. So the only way to be free from karma is liberation, is realization.
Yes. Because I remember when I was like 9 or 10 years old in US, and like there was one day I learned what progeria was actually in real life. And I remember I used to spend like days just researching and reading about progeria because, and again, like I was 9, 10 years old, and I used to think that like, you're right, like why would that thing happen to this person and why did God do that? But when I got this realization, that concept became completely clear, what you're just talking about right now.
Everything is, though, remember this, life is karma. In this life, there is trauma. In this life, there is trauma because you don't understand that this drama is all about karma.
The last topic that I want to conclude on is that, so this question used to come up a lot in my mind that, TK, I can understand that we are Brahman, right? And whatever, all the truth that we discussed today. But there's like a story by Alan Watts, I'm sure you've heard of, that God was playing hide and seek and he loves to play. And then he decided that he'll create more, in a way, duplicates of himself. And then he started to play, and God, being God, forgot who he was. And now we're all stuck in this, what we call this world, and we've forgotten our true nature. I don't know if you relate to that story or if you have a different theory of why God, Brahman, whatever you want to call, actually created this entire play.
I think Alan Watts is probably making a little bit more comical to make it like a fun. But this is the truth. The creator is the creation. Therefore, I don't like to call this a creation. I like to call it a manifestation. Nothing is created by God. Everything is a manifestation of God. Now, you are God. Everybody here is God. Why are we suffering? Because we have forgotten we are God. Man's greatest sin is not anger, greed, sloth, cheating, murder. Man's greatest sin is the ignorance. He has forgotten he is God. When the Creator gave us a life, He gave us an opportunity. He gave us an opportunity to realize the truth. He didn't give a dog an intellect. He gave a human being an intellect. The human being can realize God. But the human being, instead of looking towards God, is lost in this world. We are trapped. Similar to what Alan Watts said. But Alan Watts says it in a hide-and-seek manner. In a more I would like to say, in a more serious manner, each one of us has come here because we forgot to realize God in our last journey. We forgot, so we are back. And we are back, we have a new opportunity. What are we doing again?
We don't want to do that same.
Again we forgot. Again what's going to happen?
Again
with chakkar. Again that circle will happen. Again we forget. And again we are gone. What will happen? Again we'll come back.
When we all know the saying that if you people say in the West, if you're born poor, it's not your problem, but if you die poor, then it's your problem. But my mom, she thought of something that if you are born ignorant, right, then it's not your mistake. But if you die ignorant, that's your problem.
Beautiful.
Really
Beautiful. Because you're born ignorant, you don't worry about how you're born, but you have an ability to become intelligent. So one of the two things commands our life: ignorance or intelligence. And it's a choice. We all have a choice to be intelligent. We all have an intellect to be intelligent.
Discretion.
But if you don't take the choice, if you want to just have fun till life is done, no problem.
You're wasting your own.
No, I have to come back. So let me close by telling you a simple, interesting thing. Then you can close. So a guy in 10th standard went to the teacher. I'm fed up. Can't damn it study for this examination. What happened? No, you want me to study next 1 month? People are playing cricket. People are having fun. People are going club party. You want me to study? I'm not. Teacher, what do you do? I want to suicide. So teacher was a very smart teacher. So teacher opened the door cupboard. He said, what do you want? This is a chemical. You drink, you'll die instantly. This is a sharp knife. And this is a rope. You hang it from there and you jump, you will die. The student got a little confused. Why is the teacher giving me 3 options? Because a 10th standard child understands. Then the student paused for a moment. And as he was pausing, the teacher told him, only one small thing. Any of these 3 things you do, please finish it. But when you come back, you have to start from first standard.
I don't know. No one wants that.
He said, you have to come back from first standard, second standard. He said, I don't want this. I'll do the exams. I would prefer to do the exams next month.
Great explanation.
So this is the life. We have to, time is running out.
Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I was able to learn so much from you. Our goal for this podcast is that basically we end with every guest conveying their knowledge, their wisdom, and you are an ocean of wisdom. Everything that you said today and in our discussion, I'm sure people who are watching can actually relate to it and practically, and go towards that final goal of liberation. Thank you so much.
I have no knowledge. I have no wisdom. I am nothing.
Yes.
When we realize we are nothing. When you realize, you don't memorize. You don't analyze. When you realize, you surrender. And then somebody else takes over.
Thank you so much. Thank you.